Hi everybody, this is Callie. Thanks so much for joining me today. I've got 2 graduation cards to share. It's that time of the year and it might be busy for a lot of people, so I thought this would be a great time to pull out some graduation products from Simon Says Stamp and create some colorful cards, ones that can be given to anybody, but also some that can be personalized for a graduate school colors. The first one, I'm using some primary colors with the addition of purple to create a rainbow background. I'm using an 8x8 craft tacky mat to hold down my paper as I ink blend. The first layer of color is a very light hand of color without using a stencil. I have 4 ink colors, but I really want the full rainbow to show up. So a lot of these colors are going to overlap so that the orange and the green organically show up on their own as we ink blend these colors together and as they overlap. That means this yellow is going to be a little bit wider in area than the other colors that I ink blend. That's because the red is going to have to overlap with some of that yellow to bring out that orange. As you can see, it's very light. And then this blue is a little bit intense, so I'm going to try to go light-handed with it. But between the blue and the yellow, which I go back and forth on, I just want to make sure that that green does show up. So here I'm going back to my yellow and just going over that blue a little bit so that I can get that green to come through. Then I'll finish this initial layer here with some purple in the corner. And I'm going to intentionally overlap over the blue just a little bit so that those colors blend together nicely. And then before I move on to the second layer using a stencil, I'm just going to go back through all of the colors again to make sure that they all blend nicely and create a nice blend with this rainbow of colors. This graduation cap stencil is from the Graduation Celebration Layering Stencils. There are 3 layers to this stencil set. One is confetti, the other is balloon. So I'm just going to use the graduation caps layer, and I'm going to use the exact same colors going over the previous layer with a heavier hand so that the graduation caps are also blended in a rainbow, but they're going to show up a little bit darker over the lighter layer that we blended underneath. As with the previous layer, I'm focusing a lot on the yellow because I really want it to overlap with that blue and the red so that that green and orange comes through on its own. I'm really loving the gradient that's being formed, so once I'm happy with the intensity of this rainbow, I'm going to lift away my stencil and you can see how the graduation caps show up over the lighter layer underneath. Okay, so I'm happy with this panel. I'm going to set it aside and work on a second panel because I really want to personalize the graduation colors. So my son is 18 and he'll be graduating in a few weeks, and his school colors are green and blue. So I thought I'd make a card using those colors using the same technique as before. So on the first layer, I am just ink blending a light blend of color, going diagonally from one color to the next, overlapping just a little bit, and then using the stencil to add a heavier hand of color so that the graduation caps show up with more saturation. The green is giving me a bit of trouble here, but I'm just going to continue to work clockwise and counterclockwise to try to get an even blend of color over those graduation caps and moving over to the blue side a little bit so that when I add some blue color and go over the green, the two are going to blend together nicely. I don't want the background to be too oversaturated because I don't want it to take away from the elements that we layer over the top of this background, so I'm happy with it as it is. So my background panels are done, and I did intentionally do a diagonal design for what I wanted, but you can also do horizontal or vertical lines as well. It's just whatever you're interested in, but I just thought this was a really fun way to make colorful graduation cards that you can also personalize. Now I'm going to trim down these panels so that they can mat a white card base. For this first card, I am trimming off 3/8 of an inch off each side so I have a thicker white border. And then for the rainbow card panel, I didn't want to cut too much off because you would get less of that purple and pink. So I'm only cutting off 1/4 inch off all the sides of this rainbow panel. For some fun elements on the top of these nice backgrounds, I'm going to die cut some GRAD hats and then piece them together. For the rainbow card, I'm using a generic black hat with a gold tassel. And then for my son's card, I'm going to use blue cardstock for his school colors with a gold tassel. The die does come with a shadow, so it's really easy to piece it all together with a tiny sliver of a border around each of the pieces, which makes it really easy when I piece together these graduation hats. I'll also piece together the blue hat off camera so you don't have to see me go through the process again. Then I'll work on a sentiment using the GRAD word shadow dies. So I'll die cut the word using some matte gold cardstock and the shadow using white cardstock like I did for the hats. And if you haven't noticed, I'm die cutting one layer of everything and adhering them together with liquid glue. And I'm not stacking multiple layers because I intend on using some foam adhesive later on to adhere all these elements to the background. This is personal preference, of course, for these particular projects that I'm working on, but if you want to, of course, you can stack the grads and the hats and make it as dimensional as possible without using foam adhesive. To make these further a little bit more unique from each other, I'm going to make this rainbow panel a landscape-oriented card. Now, I felt something was missing between the hat and the grad word, so I'm going to use the Pop the Cork Easy Strips along with the Easy Strips Rectangles dies to die cut some sentiments that will go just above the grad word. This die is so convenient, and with its coordinating easy strips that are pre-printed sentiments, you can die cut all of the sentiments at once and just choose the ones that you want to use, and the others will always be available and ready to go when you need them. Anyway, I am roughly laying out all of the elements where I want them, and then I'm going to use my 3D foam adhesives. I'm using the large squares as well as some 3D white foam adhesive strips for the thinner areas and the sentiment strips, and then I'll add these to my card panels. To help with alignment, I'm using my 6-inch T ruler and also using the pointer end of my Place and Pierce tool to help me guide where I want to place my sentiment so that my fingers aren't obstructing my view for perfect placement. Then I'll finish up here on this card with the grad hat using some more foam squares and a small strip of foam adhesive for the tassel. Then I'll adhere all of the pieces on the other card using the same adhesives and applying them in the same manner. Alright, now that both card fronts are made, I can go ahead and adhere these to card bases. These are A2 sized white card bases. This one here is top folding. The other one is also top folding. They're just in different orientations, of course. And before I finish, I wanted to add some iridescent sequins to these. I first lay out the positioning of them, and once I'm happy, I will adhere them down with a little drop of glue. And that finishes my graduation cards for today. I hope you enjoyed these. They are super easy and quick to put together. So if you're in a pinch and need to make a bunch of graduation cards, I hope this idea will stick with you because I love that you can also personalize them with the graduate school colors. If you're interested in any of the products that I used today, be sure to check out the links below. Everything will be linked for your convenience. Thank you so much for spending a part of your day with me, and I hope you all have a great day. Bye, everyone.
Hi there, I'm Heidi, Simon's mama and founder at simonsaysstamp.com. Thank you so much for watching our video. If you like what you just saw, be sure to press the thumbs up and subscribe to see more great content.